River, we were on deck, eager for our first glimpse of the little town Phnom Penh, where we were to land and outfit our expedition for Angkor. Passing flats, we felt the hypnotic power of this tropical land, menacing and magnetic in the blue-black jungle crouching on the riverbank. The enthusiasm which had filled us since leaving France set for an instant by this unknown, mysterious country. Was relieved by the novel sights around us, floating villages built on bamboo rafts that rise and fall with the tides and floods. A sight indeed, an indolent way to live, and also solves the problem of sanitation. Many natives are reared and spend their entire lives in these floating villages without ever setting foot on land. Approaching the capital city of Cambodia, we saw crowds of natives in front of the annual boat races, a picturesque and colorful scene. We were fortunate to arrive at such a momentous occasion. The canoes are 60 feet long and have 4 men to a crew. The coxswain sits in front because the men face the stroke for all the world like the captain of an ancient slave galley. The boat with the flag was last year's champion and now wins again. Stand up to the sweeps like gondoliers. The long, barbaric canoes. We hurried up the main street of Phnom Penh and seemed a curiosity to the children. Primitive ox carts and native cabs drawn by were the only methods of transportation. Teeming market streets in a typically Oriental manner. Visiting the King's Palace Gardens, our interest was arrested by carvings of 7-headed pagoda stairway, representing the goddess Naga. Legend has it that Naga herself was a cobra, and when each king took a bride, Naga assumed the shape of a human virgin, spending the wedding night with the king, and next morning reassuming her. Being guests of the king, we were permitted to see the royal Cambodian dancers. We noticed on the left an outstanding figure wearing a monkey mask, the Prince of the Apes. The dance portrays princesses dancing for him, and all of the action centers around the wearing the monkey mask. The extraordinary motif astounded us. Suggestion of apes wielding power over human beings was unheard of outside of this part of the world and dates back to ancient times. Monkeys are sacred throughout Cambodia. They swarm everywhere, never tied or caged, never killed by man, even and living like gluttons while poor peasants go hungry. Protection have bred a race of apes who are fearless of mankind. Only on stable nations. Every day at 2 o'clock, they make their way to the river where they're met by keepers. Who give them a bath, not them off, but to soften their hides and keep their great hoof paths clean. Water affords them great relief in this hot tropical country from the equator. A few more in a steaming jungle fog, we loaded our supplies into and started for the boat landing. When the natives learned, they refused to rent us their boats, or sampans as they call them. They said that white men who went to Angkor never came back, and they didn't want to lose their boats. They insisted the curse of the high gods had been on the jungles for centuries. This was our century. This was our first intimation of the obstacles. In the end, we were compelled to buy their boats outright. And bribery, we finally succeeded in getting together enough men to... As we pulled out into the stream, starting on our long journey, our headman's wife and baby were on the shore to bid him bon voyage. We noticed he had brought stowaway friends with him for whom we hadn't bargained.